Hi, my name's Kevin Vogel, Vice President of Virtualization and Cloud Computing at Champion Solutions Group. Thanks for joining us for a recap of VMworld 2013. We're going to be covering all the new updates that happened out at VMworld.
First thing I wanted to share with you is they actually put this up when Pat was doing his. I honestly thought this was a great way of thinking of VMware and their vision. It's really to empower people and organizations by radically simplifying IT through virtualization software. And that's really what VMware has been doing now. We've been a partner 13 years with VMware, and it never ceases to amaze me that they keep doing things to really help customers simplify their environment. And as you can see, I brought this chart up also because this is another chart that Pat was using. It just shows the growth of virtualization. I remember when I first started talking to a lot of the customers on the phone here, and we first started talking about virtualization, back in version 1 and version 2, no one used it for production. And as you can see today in 2013, 60% on average are the workloads that every corporation runs in virtualization. And you can see that they're targeting 80% of all the workloads in your IT department will be run in virtualization in just 2 short years. So it went from nothing in production as far back as 2005, and now we're running the majority of our workloads in virtualization. It just shows where things are going. And I brought this slide up because this is really what VMworld was about this year. It's really going from the client server to the mobile cloud. End-to-end infrastructure is really what VMware is now offering inside their platform. It's not just server virtualization, but it's everything from, you're going to see the hybrid cloud we're going to talk a lot about today. We're going to talk about the private clouds that you can start developing inside your environment. And it's all the way through the end user computing environment, whether it's a tablet, whether it's a laptop, whether it's the desktop. Really, VMware is a company that can take you end to end and have a similar management look and feel for all of your IT staff. And it's something that really plays well out there in IT. You don't have to learn 40 different products to be able to do this. So the 3 things that they touched on in VMworld this year were the software-defined data center, and we're going to talk about that. The new releases that they're coming out with products like NSX, which is the virtualized hypervisor for the network. We're going to talk about the hybrid cloud, and as you probably know, Champion, we're a huge cloud partner. We believe in the cloud strategy, and I'll tell you, getting a huge player like VMware into this cloud environment with their backing, with their expertise, this can only help our business grow and help companies like you get into the cloud, start utilizing those resources, and really lowering your cost of IT. And that's what this is all about. And then mobility. That's still a big part of the message from VMware. And really, we're going to touch on all 3 of these today because this is really what VMworld was all about this year, was these 3 topics. Now, there's a lot behind these 3 panels. We're not going to be able to get to everything, but we'll get to a lot of it. We might gloss over some things, but like I said, you can always get a one-on-one meeting with your Champion representative, with your solutions architect, with myself or anyone that's part of the virtualization team here to help you really go into deep depth into each one of these areas. So let's talk about shadow IT. And this was something that everyone talked about. The whole management team was, we know that things are changing. Everyone out there is looking at cloud today to really offset their investment that they made in the physical environment that's sitting on your network. And as you can see, and these are Gartner studies that are out there, 35% of your IT spend, they're predicting by 2015, or in other words, just 2 years from now, will be in some type of cloud environment, whether it be software as a service, infrastructure as a service, or platform as a service. And we're seeing it today. Large companies, if you're reading anything in the tech magazines, you know that more and more people are starting to adopt cloud, not just for backup or not just for ancillary products, but they're doing core services, everything from infrastructure as a service to platform as a service, and it's only growing every single day. And I think, David, you cover the South Florida and the Florida area. You know what's going on in the market down here, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing large amounts of IT infrastructure moving out into a cloud, and in some cases without companies even knowing that they're moving those infrastructures out there, right? And it could be in the form of just a hosted application or a new software package that you bring on that's just hosted out in the cloud. And we want to make sure that you're prepared for the future for these technologies, including running your private cloud in a public format.
And that's happening more and more. And really the bottom line with VMware's message is we want to make this as easy as possible. And the beauty of it, having VMware on-premise, having VMware in the cloud, you're going to see the orchestration between those two environments be seamless, not only from the administrator standpoint, but more importantly, from the end user standpoint. They won't know whether it's running on the local land or up in the cloud. They'll never have to make a change in configuration. It will run seamlessly and very easy for the IT people to really take this infrastructure and get it turned on. So what if we could take the same principles that transformed a single layer in your data center, in other words, virtualizing hardware, and abstract it, pull it together and automate it and deliver it in really an unprecedented value that VMware is going to be offering, and apply it to the whole data center. And that's really what we're going to be showing you today with everything from the software-defined data center through the hybrid cloud and into that mobility product that we're talking about. So let's talk about the software-defined data center. It's really the perfect architecture for the private and public clouds. And all the infrastructure is virtualized. It's delivered as a service. And you see everything out there, desktop as a service, platform as a service, infrastructure as a service. It's just really the infrastructure behind those offerings so that you can really maximize the resources that you're purchasing out there and be able to give them out as needed to the right business users and the right applications. So if we take a look at this and we look at the software-defined data center architecture, you'll see that we have management and automation, we have the compute, the network, and this is all pretty much what we've been doing, but it's really to hit these main points. In traditional IT, it's always been, and one of the things that VMware has done a great job is being able to deliver applications much more quickly, because we didn't have to go out and procure the hardware, get it in, install all the operating systems, install the application, configure it, then finally hand it over. The other thing that traditional VMware has done is give you the ability to have high availability. But the new pain points that we're seeing out there is the ability to be flexible, to have this running, whether it's in a remote office with their robo offerings, whether it's on-premise, whether it's in the cloud, and really the fear of locking yourself into a platform that you just can't get out of. And you'll see that what VMware has done is built-in efficiencies by reducing IT CapEx by as much as 75% and OpEx by 56%, reducing downtime either through DRS, which has already been used, or the ability now to move that workload into a cloud environment by increasing agility. In other words, the speed to actually get applications out into the workforce, and then the ability to have choice, the ability to run this on a tablet, on your cell phone, or on just a standard desktop. David, you got anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, Kevin, thank you. I appreciate that. All of these technologies exist today. it's really just moving everything into a service catalog or a service profile. And when you can do that and move it into a virtual construct, you really have the flexibility that you need in your business and the choice of technology that you run it on, and deliver a key SLA for your business that's based on the type of infrastructure that you're tapping into. Once again, as a public or a private or even an encapsulated view of the different users that you have out there into some type of user profile as well. So all these technologies exist today, and I'm really excited to see how we're going to be able to move forward with this. Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, no problem. And, you know, funny thing is I had lunch with Chris Pyle, our CEO, today, and he was asking questions, you know, about, you know, how are we going to best help our customers automate this and, more importantly, manage this environment so that they can maximize both their on-premise private cloud and their hybrid cloud. And really that's where Champion can add, he calls it our secret sauce. And really, because Champion is actually doing this for customers today, we have the expertise, we have the ability to help you efficiently control what goes in the cloud, when it goes in there. This is all policy-based type of management architecture that we can help and add on to this new environment, this software-defined data center, and it gives our customers really an added edge. We were very lucky, and David really helped us become one of the lighthouse partners for the new hybrid cloud. Out of I believe there's 9,000 VMware partners in the United States, and Champion's one of 26 that was selected throughout the United States to participate in this early program and really get that hands-on experience, that knowledge that you need before, you know, the product actually even came out. And because of that, we're really, I'm telling you, it's for us, it's like turning on VMware again for the first time. It's really that feeling here at Champion that this is the next big step, the software-defined data center with the hybrid cloud offering all at the same time. So with that, let me just move on here. And to be honest with you, this slide just shows you that the cost of doing this is actually driving down all the time. In fact, if you look at cloud from the beginning, where it started out cost-wise and where it's going to, the cost just keeps reducing. And it's one of the reasons people are so interested in the cloud. So let's take a look at what's available, how it works, especially in this new environment. For those of you that are on-premise with VMware and you're either running vCloud Suite or you're running vSOM, or in other words, like this is vSphere with vCenter operations in it, and you only have the one environment. VMware, and this is something that you have to know, these new hybrid cloud offerings are the hardware, the people, all of the control is done by VMware. It's not outsourced. It's not done by a third party. These are VMware employees that will actually help maintain, secure, and manage their new hybrid cloud environments. And the beauty of having both it on-premise and in the cloud is you could take your existing apps or brand new applications and really move them back and forth between your on-premise and off-premise seamlessly. And what I mean by that is when your people go to click the icon on their desktop, they get access to that application no matter where it's running or where you moved it to. No end user involvement. You don't have to have two icons and one that says cloud and one that says on-site. All of this is seamless behind the scenes so that your end users have no problem. You can use your vCenter or your vCloud Director products to be able to get a common management, whether you're on-premise or whether you're up in the cloud. And then the beauty of this is one phone call. You don't have to say, well, am I calling about the cloud or am I calling about premise? One support call, no changes to the application, no matter where they're running. David, you got anything you want to add?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the nice thing about what we've developed here in an off-premise cloud solution is identical to the offerings that we provide for a private cloud our cloud. And even more importantly than that, you can manage all of these environments simply through a web browser. vCenter or some of the different management consoles that we provide as a technology company can be accessed via a web browser. So therefore, whether or not you're just a cloud customer or kind of a hybrid offering between the two, or a private cloud customer, which many of you are, you're going to be able to use the exact same tools and the exact same products that you had in the past. It just so happens that we have it in our cloud. That would then be your cloud. Thank you, Kevin.
No problem. So let's take a look at, what the first steps are for a software-defined data center. And most of you have these things in place. So we're talking about an automation center and operations management that's available today, right now for your environment. You can run vCenter or vCloud Director, like I said. Obviously, vSphere, the core component, the one that really started this whole thing. And then now vCloud Networking and Security. Used to be called vShield, but now they've actually, because it has become so integrated into this new environment, security becomes a large issue, but networking, let's be honest, that's the key, that's the rubber that meets the road to have all this work together. And then Site Recovery Manager. I can't tell you how many customers we've talked to since we've come back from VMworld that they're looking at this for business continuance or a way for them to now have some type of recovery where they don't have to go out and spend millions of dollars on hardware and licensing and everything else that it would take to be able to do that. And it seems like for us, it's one of the big transitions that customers are looking at. So when we're talking about, the pain and software, we're talking about the software-defined data center. It really is a radical approach to solving traditional and new pain points. It's absolutely the way that people are looking at efficiencies and agilities and a choice of control of where I actually am running my applications. And then, like I said, it drives 75% in cost savings, and IT productivity goes up as much as 67%. So it is absolutely what's driving some of the core things that we're doing here at Champion, some of the core things that VMware are doing there. David, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it. Yeah, the software-defined data center is really probably one of the easiest transformations a customer can take, specifically because if you've ever virtualized a server, it's just virtualizing the assets around that server, whether it be storage, networking, service profiles, and so on and so forth. And therefore, Champion can help you achieve all of these ROIs that you would have seen for a single server. They can provide it for a data center, and that's what it really comes down to. If you've achieved some efficiencies, some cost savings as it relates to a virtual server, let's look at that as virtualizing the data center and achieving even greater results and return on your investment.
All right, well, let's go on and talk about some of the enhancements that we learned about. As you guys probably know, 5.5 was released for vSphere, and there were some unbelievable enhancements. So, for instance, let's just go down the list, and I'll try to explain them real quick. And we only have an hour here, so I could take an hour really on probably each one of these bullets. But performance and scale. So, believe it or not, you can now have a 64 terabyte VMDK. 64 terabytes. So for those large application sets that people are starting to take a look at, putting into virtualization, you're not limited now by the amount of disk space that you can have in there. It's a 2x increase in almost all the configuration matrices. Twice as much processor, twice as much memory as we had before in just 5.1. And then you get a new thing about latency from an application standpoint. The way that they have configured 5.5 is really helps you accelerate how an application performs. We also have high availability for applications now, not just with fault tolerance or with HA, but I'm talking about direct recovery of applications and OS failures. It supports common packages like Exchange and SQL and Oracle and SharePoint and all those type of applications that are necessary for you guys to run your tier 1 apps in virtualization. And I'll tell you, one of the things that I went to a session about was the flash read cache that just blew my mind. And I will tell you that, one of the questions that a guy answered in a thing, I'm sure a lot of you take advantage of DRS and HA. Can I use this new flash read cache as part of my DRS strategy, as part of my HA? And the answer is absolutely yes. And it's per VM hypervisor based. It's read cache using flash to give you that tier 1 application performance that people are looking at. Replication has to be, especially now with data protection and everything else, replication has to be part of this, and you'll see an enhanced version of replication in 5.5. Backup and recovery, Avamar, obviously for those of you that have taken advantage of Avamar in your new release of 5.1, this only goes to the next level. This is where, I'll be honest with you, it was a little sparse to begin with, but I think most things are. This is a full enterprise class backup and recovery. And then obviously big data, we all talk about, how is big data affecting you? If you're doing analytics, if you're doing things now, VMware extends support for big data workloads. It includes, all types of distributions that will be able to help you. Everything from, they had a list up there. It had to be 12 or 13 different companies with their big data solutions that are all running now in 5.5. So, David, you want to add anything to the enhancements that came out?
Yeah, wow. Every time we come out with a new update around vSphere, we add, literally dozens or hundreds of different enhancements, and we're only talking about a few here. And Kevin, I can't agree with you more that flash read cache is probably one of the most exciting parts of the technology. But I also want to kind of make one point to this, and that is that these are the tenets of what drives IT efficiencies, and it's built into the vSphere hypervisor, which is then being delivered by vSphere, products, right, and vCenter. And what I'd say is, if these are areas of your business that you're trying to achieve some greater flexibility in, it's already there. We just kind of have to expose the technology, and certainly Champion can help make that happen for you. And the other thing is around some of the benefits around applications, and we've done a fantastic job over the last, I'm going to say about 5 or 6 years of really writing some great report writers and some hooks and links into, just hundreds and hundreds of applications that are out there, so that as those applications change or as you need to modify or enhance what you're doing, we have all of that written into the virtual machine itself, and therefore the APIs are exposed, and it's very, very easy and very flexible for your business. So some fantastic enhancements. Thank you, Kevin.
You got a question?
Yeah, this is Randall from Memorial. How are you?
Good. Hey, Randall, how are you?
Good, sir. Hey, just if I could, real quickly, a point you made just prior to this slide when you were talking about the cloud hosting and off-prem.
Uh-huh.
If just VM part of infrastructure is hosted in the cloud, obviously within Memorial and maybe within most other organizations, there's a equally large part of the infrastructure that's not VM, not virtualized. However, there are cloud-based solutions for those respective silos. If organizations would act on your offer to host VM services with VMware and Champion in the cloud, and we have one or more other silos also hosted off-prem, doesn't that create a complexity in terms of interactivity between all these different silos that are now in different clouds? That's not there with everything in our current data center?
And Randall, I agree with you, and that's why companies like Champion are in business. If those if you had everything in VMware, this is a no-brainer, right? You just move it
right.
over, everything works, everything's seamless, all the networking works. But this is where our expertise comes in, and this is where, when you have those physical boxes, or let's be honest, not everything runs in Intel, right? We have power boxes or mainframes or other things that might be hosted in other areas. That's where the expertise of Champion, doing this for 35 years for customers, and now really adding the cloud skills to our really toolbox. This is where our integration skills really come in handy for customers to be able to help you integrate more than one cloud environment and still have that seamless type of interface. And Randall, I'll be more than happy to come down to Miramar, sit down and talk to you, and we'll go over this. But this is what we do for customers.
Okay, thanks for vetting that.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great point. And just one little add, the extensibility of a cloud is really about security and control. And I think that we've done a fantastic job of providing those architectures and those tools to help make that happen. And certainly, like Kevin said, we'd love to sit down and talk to you about how we can make sure that that fits into your business plan. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Yeah. All right. Well, and let's jump on here, because I don't want to get too far behind, or we'll never make it through all the topics. Network virtualization. This is something that I'll tell you had the room buzzing. This was probably the thing when they talked about it at the keynote, and then if you went down into the what they call the solution summit area, this is really what a lot of people were talking about, because it's almost like that start over again when we first saw the hypervisor for processors and memory and storage and networking. This is now the area that people want to concentrate on, because having that seamless connectivity, like Randall brought up, when NSX really grabs hold, and all the vendors are adopting it. There's the big Cisco booth and Brocade, and all the network people were down there. They all had it running in their environment. You're going to see that this is a big part of this connectivity that Randall was talking about. How do I do this? And I will tell you, by virtualizing the network, by right now, let's be honest, in a physical environment, most of the time you're tied to a port, right? Your provisioning is slow, your placement is limited, your mobility, you can't get around, you're hardware dependent, and really you're tied to that one single point in your network. Once you take and put a hypervisor, just like you did when you started virtualizing your servers, and start virtualizing the abstract layer of the network, then you can start now tying into putting your workload wherever you want, moving it around, decoupling it from the hardware, and getting that operational efficiency that you really need if you want to start taking advantage of this cloud infrastructure. David, what do you think about? I mean, you hear about NSX all the time, I'm sure. It was the hot topic at VMworld.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. This is probably the most exciting technology addition to the portfolio that we've had over the last several years, and really what it's about from just higher, from a high level perspective, from a networking perspective. It's something that we've been able to virtualize, but we haven't been able to control, right? And now that we're going to be able to deliver layers 1 through 7 as a network stack, and then build into that service profiles, we're going to really be able to give a lot of flexibility with regards to how we can manage networks into a service profile. And I'll just kind of give you an example of that. Companies like Google and Amazon and Rackspace are using this technology to better their business, because it's so difficult to manage single points of contact as opposed to an entire infrastructure for their business.
And thanks, David. And I put up on your desk here, you could see these are just some of the quick points. Layer 2 over layer 7 decoupling, so you can do logical switching, logical routing. You got firewalls, you got load balancing, you got VPN, all in this software that can help you just really, like David said, gives you the ability to layer that hypervisor above your network and now have that type of control where you didn't have it before. And like I said, everyone that was a networking partner at VMworld had some form of this as part of their booth presentation. So it's getting adopted. It's really starting to get some teeth behind it. And I think you'll see more and more about this going forward with VMware. You'll also, we talked about networking and security. The cloud, I can tell you, there's two questions. We've been doing cloud for a little bit over 4 years here at Champion. And to this day, I get the same two questions. Every single time we start talking about cloud. Bandwidth and security. It's always the same two questions that we talk about. And I can tell you, this is an area where VMware has it locked down when it comes to security. If you haven't taken advantage of their Edge product or of their endpoint products and are running your security at the hypervisor level and not inside each one of your physical or virtual VMs, this is really the way of the future. And it does tie into the same architecture that you want to develop for those physical servers that you can't virtualize. This is a big part of the cloud buy-in from a lot of our customers, is the ability to get this type of, first of all, visibility into the security and the networking, but also the control that they're looking for. And David, do you want to add anything to this?
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, seamlessly fits right into the virtual machine file, the VMDK file, inside the VMX file, so that you can layer in all of these different resources to the technology. And as I said, it's already there. It's just exposing the API set so that we can add these service profiles.
And, networking and security is really the last barrier of the software-defined data center. It really transforms the network operational model that you're using today, and it increases business speed, reduced cost, enables choice. And that's really the message that we're getting here. The other big subject that, we talk to our customers all the time about is storage. And storage, no matter who you talk to out there, especially since VMware has built in things like storage vMotion and storage DRS, and now customers looking at tiering their storage, having different performance characteristics across their storage portfolio in their environment. This is where you're going to see virtual VLANs actually start playing a much bigger role in how you use storage and how you use it more efficiently. And really the drivers behind this is, we're all seeing 12 core processors coming out now, much faster, higher density memory, affordable and reliable flash storage, and SSD drives. More and more vendors are coming on the market with faster and faster and less expensive high performance disk. And then vSphere as really the platform for all the applications that you're running, and having the right resources for each application without having to overpay for it. And that's where choice really comes into this. You'll see that VMware has now in 5.5 in update 1, which is going to be released in the first half of 2014, the ability to have a virtual SAN, to have VMware-centric policies for placement and protection and performance of your data. This is something that's radically new, and it's something that's going to change the way you look at storage going forward. The ability to not have to do it inside the storage subsystem, but if you're looking for snapshots or clones or replication or backup, you can now do it inside the VMware environment. And then combining all of those things into a heterogeneous storage consumed as data stores, which you see more and more, and as VMDKs or as individual servers. It's just the wave of the future when it comes to storage. David, you want to add anything to that? I guess I did a good job on that one. Okay, So let's go on here and let's show the use cases that we see customers looking at. How am I going to use this new storage? Where are the use cases? I can tell you that virtual desktop, we're doing more and more virtual desktops for customers all the time. And having storage that's specific to virtual desktops is a best practice. And how do I maximize my utilization without overspending on it? And that's where this virtual SAN actually plays real big. We talked about big data earlier and how VMware and their enhancements in 5.5 will help you now move those type of applications into virtualization and help you scale out that big data analytics that customers and companies rely on to drive their business forward. We talked about remote office, back office, and how that's going to work going forward. Obviously, keeping the cost of disk low for test and dev, but making sure that they have, fast provisioning and all those great features that you want them to use to be able to become efficient when they're developing applications or testing patches or whatever you do in your test and development environment without having the high cost of storage. You can do it with the low cost and then use some of the functionality that VMware is going to build into the environment. You can see that all these things from, local sites, high availability, all these things just play into that software-defined data center along with the new cloud environment. David, you want to add anything?
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it. Yeah, some great new advancements within storage and being able to manage it. Certainly, we had talked about some of the cache and the flash that we can kind of read from and use some of the localized storage. So we can take some of the direct attached storage that's being delivered and then use it as a file share for either localized applications that are running on virtual machines or moving forward into more of a cloud-like feature so that you can have multiple targets for backups and recoveries. Thank you.
Okay. We'll talk about automation, and this is a big part of cloud, the ability to automate what you're doing, to manage what you're doing, and obviously to see everything that's in your environment. One of the things that VMware has done a great job at going forward from when I started in version 1 where we didn't have any management, we went to Virtual Center and then vCenter and then vCenter Ops. And I mean, they've just kept layering on these management and automation packages to keep things as simple for our VMware customers to be able to manage their environment without having to have, really a lot of training to be able to run it efficiently. And you'll see that these automation products and all of their network security storage play across both platforms, whether they're on-premise, whether they're in the cloud, and that's that seamless management architecture that we were talking about at the beginning. It doesn't matter where you're working, whether in the cloud or on-premise, you're going to have the same tool set across both. You don't have to relearn from scratch. So if we take a look at this and we really just keep it simple, you can have multi-platform, you can have hybrid, you can even have multi-provider and still be able to simplify your IT management, set up your governing services, and use multiple platforms and providers to be able to run your IT at a cost-efficient and also a management-efficient network. David, you want to add anything to that?
Well, Kevin, we actually have a technology product that people can start using today without having to go through change of applications, change of infrastructure, and a change of learning process. Sounds a little too easy.
Yeah, it sounds unique too, doesn't it?
Sure does.
So you guys remember this slide from earlier in there, and we talked about running existing apps or new apps in both environments. So let's talk about how they actually size this new hybrid cloud service. They have actually two different offerings inside their new hybrid cloud. If you need a dedicated environment, your own private cloud physically isolated. In other words, your own server, your own memory, your own processors, your own LUN in the storage environment, your own networking and configurations, all in a dedicated cloud for those of you that either need it for compliance reasons or you need it just to feel safe about the cloud. It's absolutely out there. You do pay a price premium for it, but it's available to you today in these size increments, so you can start at just 120 gigs of RAM, 30 gigahertz of processor, 6 terabytes of storage out there, and then you can see I get 50 megabytes of allocated bandwidth that's burstable to 1 gig, 3 public IPs, all in a real concise package. I can tell you that the virtual private cloud is the one that a lot of our customers are starting to adopt today, right now as we speak, and we're helping customers start to move or take advantage of the workload. And you could start with a minimum size of just 20 gigs of memory, 5 gigahertz that bursts up to 10 gigahertz of processor, 2 terabytes of storage space, 10 megabytes allocated, all the way up to 50 burstable, and 2 public IP addresses. This is in a shared environment. It's fully private from a networking standpoint. It's logically isolated, but it is in a shared environment in there. And I will tell you that for most of our customers, this is the way they're looking at it. And it's an unbelievable price point that VMware has set. And we're really proud to offer this to our customers. David, you want to add anything to this?
Yeah, absolutely. We're really changing some of the ways that people are going to perceive cloud and, more importantly, consume it. This is just kind of a snapshot of some of the offerings. These are actually usable numbers. So when we talk about things like memory, it's not what you assign to a specific application. It's what you're virtually going to use. So we're going to see customers being able to get access to a lot more technology than just what's written here. These are kind of the usable numbers, not the logically allocated numbers. So customers are going to drive towards this. We look forward to supporting you and your business. And please come talk to us about this new offering. Thank you.
And just, I figured I'd put this in here to show you the type of workloads that people are looking at to put into this hybrid cloud service. Obviously, Exchange, SharePoint is huge. SharePoint happens to, I think, be the biggest thing out there right now. Lotus Notes, social media, VDI. I could tell you that one of the offerings that is coming out from VMware in the fourth quarter will be desktop as a service up in the hybrid cloud. It's not available today, but it's coming. It's going to be available to you out there. We have line of business applications like SAP and Oracle, the Microsoft like CRM and a lot of their product sets. Data analytics. We talked about big data. We have customers that are actually using the cloud, using their processing power to do the big data. Obviously, remote hot sites and secondaries is business continuance and business continuity is a big part of it. And then web. Let's be honest. Where else would you want to run your web-based applications than up in the cloud? Access to the internet gives you access to your applications. It's really a no-brainer when you look at your type of web-based applications or mobile app deployments that you want to do out there. So as you could see, inside this new hybrid cloud, it's got the broadest OS and application support. I believe there's 80 operating systems that are supported up there today. It's seamless from a networking integration. You don't have to reinvent the wheel to take advantage of cloud, and reliable and manageable to drive down your risk and your cost inside the cloud. So couldn't be bigger for us, and a lot of our customers we're talking to them every day about this. David, anything else before I jump into the new mobile workforce?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. This is a way to turn your business into a cloud. I mean, a real cloud. If you're in the service business and you're serving a bunch of entities that are outside of your organization, what a better way to use a cloud? I mean, that's really what you're trying to turn your business into. So come talk to us about this. This is live. This is up. It's running. It's available. It's appreciate everybody's support around it.
And you'll see I have a slide here at the end, guys, on next steps. And one of the things that Champion, prides itself on is we have a pretty great lab downstairs, probably $10 or $12 million worth of equipment in there. And we do demos all the time. But I could tell you that this is completely demonstrated down in our lab from soup to nuts, and it's live. It's not a canned, play a video for you. We actually have this running, so if you want to see, vCloud Suite with all the different components, you want to see hybrid cloud, you want to see, for instance, we're going to talk about Horizon. We'll be able to do live demos over any connection. That's the beauty of the cloud, right? Is I can demo this from anywhere and be able to show you how this works real life. You want to see, well, how do you move the workload, or how do you make it do this? All you got to do is ask, and we make it do it live. So let's talk about Horizon, because I know we're getting down here. We got 9 minutes left in the hour, and we appreciate you giving us your time. We'll try to make sure we use it wisely. So as you can see, Horizon isn't just desktop anymore. It's now application catalogs and data, all delivered to any device out there through a centralized management and broker system that really is policy based, and you can set it up any way you guys want for your environment. So the transformation is really simplified from taking your desktop now, putting it up into either your private cloud or a public cloud, and giving access to that same desktop no matter what device or what location they're in. With the way mobility is playing in our environment today, this is part of what's coming in the future. So what's new with the user experience? You can see that we give you accelerated 3D graphics, support for Link 2013 with rich media services, support for Windows 8 today, not next week, not next year. It's here right now. Seamless access to view desktops from a workspace that you can design. It's really something that can be accessed through just HTML5. You don't have to have a client out there. You do lose some functionality, like for instance, if you want to map USB drives or things like that. But if you're out working and just need access to data, I can tell you that this is something that if you're in a kiosk or in a hotel where you need to get the stuff where you can install a client, this is absolutely the way to do it now. You get the new, for those new devices out there, the tablets that have touch-based, these are enhanced for that. And you'll see that all of this is part of the new 5.1 running on, the new Horizon View services. So all of these things, and I'm going through this pretty quick because I don't want to run long, but we can tell you that this new product with all the new features that I talked about are something that our customers are starting to do proof of concepts and now starting to roll out into production, only because you can now guarantee your end users a better experience with VDI than you can with a physical box. And that's something that up until this point, I don't think anybody could guarantee. We do it all the time for customers. We give them not a lot of people are rolling out Windows 8 yet, but for those of you, especially the ones that want to run it on tablets, on whatever type of devices that are out there, people are starting to do it today. You can see that now you can broker view desktops from a browser. You don't have to have a client out there. All these things are part of a seamless end user interface that works on any device. And that's a key component. David, you want to add anything?
Yeah, I call it the any on any for any, right? Which is, any application, any operating system run on any device, run in any environment, right? And that's what it really comes down to, is the flexibility that Horizon has to offer while still providing updates, security, backup and recovery, as well as a service profile that roams from your work device, possibly to a home device, to a smartphone, to a tablet.
So as you can see in 5.1, they increased the number of hosts from 8 to 32, so you can get much larger environments in here. You can get everything from, reduced time through improved availability. Obviously, OpEx savings is really the key to VDI, and you're now getting all of these type of benefits through the new Horizon View suite. So I know I'm kind of going through this pretty quick because I'm down to exactly 5 minutes. I wanted to leave some time for people to ask questions. Like I said, we can demo all of this for you. We're running it here at Champion. All you have to do is ask your Champion representative. We'd be more than happy to do a live demo for you, be able to show you the new portal that's out there so that you can do everything from thin-apt applications, which I'll tell you, more and more people are starting to take advantage of the ability, especially for old Windows XP applications that they want to run. But this is something that we're doing for customers on a daily basis. And the big key to this, the thing that is driving down the cost, is how to efficiently use storage capacity with really space-efficient disks through View. This was one of the biggest topics. In fact, I had a whole, believe it or not, 2-hour session talking about the new way to leverage the new format for VMs on VMFS and how you can actually reclaim and reduce the amount of space that you need, which we all know will lower the cost of VDI. And that is a huge benefit that VMware is now offering. David, you want to talk about anything from Horizon before we open up to questions?
Couldn't have said it any better. Thanks, Kevin. Great technology.
Okay, we got 3 minutes left, ladies and gentlemen, before we cut you off. Any questions? Anything that David or myself can answer for you? Like I said, just remember, if you want real deep dives, get a hold of your Champion representative, and we'll be more than happy to get real deep and take more than just this hour.
Yeah, for anybody that wants to ask a question, please press *6. It will unmute your line, and we'll open it up for questions. Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome. While you guys are trying to think them up, I will tell you that we do have cloud workshops so that we can show you what type of infrastructure you need to have in place to really take advantage, best practice of moving workloads to the cloud or supplementing your local environment. Like I said, we will do absolute, live demos of both Horizon and the vCloud suite and hybrid clouds. And if you need more information about events like this, webinars, or live events in your area, you can go to our website, www.championsg.com, and go into our events calendar, and you'll see all the things that are coming up in the future. David, thank you very much for your participation today. Thanks, everyone, for being on the phone. Have a really